Most people have huge dreams that they plan to accomplish, but Yuan Xian only has two simple dreams. Firstly, she wants to change her department from the sculpture department to the oil painting department. And secondly, she wants to put an end to her singleness by dating someone. Yuan enters her dorm room where her friends are playing cards and they even make her join in. Just as Yuan sits down and starts playing, the members of the discipline team come to their building to check everything. They soon enter Yuan's room and catch everyone red-handed playing cards. Yuan and her friends beg one of the guys from the discipline team to let them go with the promise that they won't do it again. But he refuses, and even takes a picture of the girls playing cards as evidence. This guy is Qin Shen, who is also from the sculpture department. He's quite famous in the college because of his handsome looks, sharp mind, and cold personality. So all the girls just follow him around, but he stays away from all the girls just so he can focus on his dreams. The next day, Yuan has her department change exam and she is already very late. So she takes a shortcut to get to college. While she's crossing the bridge, she bumps into Qin Shen, who is carrying a sculpture. Yuan falls off the bridge and straight into the pond because Qin Shen saves his sculpture before saving her. Yuan can't swim, so she starts to panic in the water, and right as he is about to jump into the pond to save her, another student from the sports department, Song Sai, saves her. Song Sai is also a very popular student. Once Yuan is back on land, she thanks Song Sai and runs to her exam since she's extremely late. Once Yuan finally reaches the exam room, she runs into another problem. The examiner refuses to let her enter because she is dripping wet, and even her exam ticket is wet and unreadable. Yuan tries very hard to convince her, but the examiner refuses to let her enter, so Yuan ends up missing her exam. Yuan goes back to her room and expresses she is angry at Qin Shen, since he prioritized saving his sculpture, which resulted in Yuan getting wet, which caused her to miss her exam. Meanwhile, back in his room, Qin Shen, friends notice his wet shoes and they inquire about it. Once he tells his friends everything, they start to scold him by saying that he should have saved Yuan instead of his sculpture. This makes him regret it, and he starts to feel bad for Yuan. Later on, Yuan meets her teacher and explains the reason for her missing the exam. Yuan asks her teacher for help. The teacher tells her that at the end of the year, there will be another exam, but it has a limit of 3 students only, so she advises Yuan to work as hard as she possibly can. The next day, Yuan and her friend Qin Shen are carrying some boxes when Song Si sees them, so he runs over to them and carries their boxes for them. Qin Shen then tells Yuan to give him a gift and thank him for helping her so much. Yuan agrees. When it's time for lunch, Yuan goes to the cafeteria and gives Song Si a smartwatch as a token of her appreciation. At first, he refuses to accept it, but after some persuasion, he takes it and thanks her. When Yuan leaves, she calls Qin Shen and tells her that Song Si isn't her type of guy, since he is always so helpful and kind towards everyone, so she wouldn't feel special if she dated him. Song Si overhears this and starts to smile. Yuan is shocked when she sees him, so he hands her the lunch card she dropped earlier, and she just runs away after taking it. Song Si remembers suddenly that when he was a kid, his best friend at that time said the same thing about him that Yuan said on the call, so he wonders if Yuan is the same girl who was his childhood best friend. When Yuan is leaving the cafeteria, she walks by Qin Shen and ignores him completely, but he stops her right there. When Yuan turns to him to hear what he has to say, she suddenly sneezes right in his face. He tries to see if she has a fever, but she steps back and trips. Luckily, this time he saves her from falling. He advises her to go to the doctor, but since she has to urgently get to the principal's office, she doesn't give any response and runs to the principal's office. When she's done with her work and is leaving the principal's office, she finds Qin Shen standing there waiting for her. He gives her some medicines and tells her that he's only doing this because he was at fault when she fell in the pond that day. He leaves after handing her the medicines. The next day, the teacher announces that there will be a sculpture competition in the class, so everyone starts working hard on their sculptures. Qin Shen says that since Qin Shen's looks the best, they'll break it so they can win. He overhears this and approaches them, but Yuan tells him not to worry and tells him that they won't do anything. After lunch break, Yuan goes to the class and accidentally breaks Qin Shen's sculpture, so she spends all night working on it to fix it for him. However, the next day, he realizes instantly that it's not his sculpture. He walks out to check the camera footage, and Yuan runs after him to stop him. He ends up stopping her right outside of the class. Yuan tells him everything honestly and even explains how she spent all night working on it to fix it and apologizes a lot. He says that she can never make the same sculpture since it was an MRI of his brain. They get competitive here a bit and argue over who can make it better. Later, when the teacher is judging everyone's sculpture, the teacher takes an interest in Qin Shen's sculpture, so he tells the teacher the truth, that Yuan made this. The teacher gets angry and makes another student the winner of the competition, and this kind of saddens Qin Shen. Later on, when Yuan is going to take a shower in the college, her friends lie to her and get her to open a door that was closed. When she opens it, it ends up leading into the boys' shower area. Qin Shen suddenly throws his towel at her face before she sees anyone naked and closes the door again. The next day, a student named Ling Wei approaches Song Si and asks him to play on her team for the upcoming basketball match. She asks Song Si because he is a really good player and a part of the sports department. Song Si agrees to play for her team in the match. When Ling Wei comes back to her room, her friends tell her that she saw Yuan with Qin Shen's towel, and this makes her jealous because she has always liked Qin Shen, and she thinks that if she had his towel, it must mean that they're into each other. The next day, when everyone is practicing for the basketball match, Ling Wei throws water at Yuan's white shirt and acts as if it was an accident. Qin Shen immediately covers her up with his jacket, but she returns his jacket and runs to the washroom to dry herself up. The next day arrives and it's time for the match. Qin Shen tells Yuan to stand at the side of the court, since she doesn't know how to play very well. The match then starts and everyone plays very well, but Ling Wei and her friends constantly push and hit Yuan throughout the entire game. All the players notice this, including Song Si and Qin Shen. When Song Si looks closely, he sees a birthmark on Yuan's neck. It's the same birthmark that his childhood best friend, whom he still misses, had. This observation leaves him shocked. Later during the match break, Song Si approaches Yuan and asks her if she's from Nanchang City. She says yes and leaves. She walks up to Qin Shen and tells him to pass the ball to her as well. After a while, the match is over and the sculpture department ends up winning. After the match, Qin Shen's friends tell him that they think Ling Wei and her friends are hitting Yuan because they think she is your girlfriend. Qin Shen says that he does not want to make any girlfriends and he just wants to focus on his studies. Ling Wei's friend overhears this and tells Ling Wei that this lets her know that Yuan is not Qin Shen's girlfriend. The next day, Yuan is late for her sports class, so the sports teacher punishes her to clean the sports office for the entire week. And since it was also Song Su's turn to clean it, they both will have to clean it together. Later on, while they are working, Song Si doesn't let Yuan do any of the work and is constantly trying to remind her that he's her childhood friend, but she doesn't recognize him. When they're cleaning the sports room, Song Si irritates her, so she tries to hit him and starts chasing him. Qin Shen walks in and Yuan accidentally throws a dirty rag at him. Qin Shen just stares at them, quietly grabs a basketball and leaves. When Yuaj goes back to her room, her friend Qin Shen tells her that she's dating Song Si in a virtual game on her phone. Qin Shen even shows Yuan his player ID. So the next day, Yuan asks Song Si if he plays any online game, so he shows her the same virtual game which Qin Shen showed her. Later on in the same day, Qin Shen tells Yuan that Song Si broke up with her in the game and starts to cry. Yuan decides to take revenge on Song Si. The next day, Qin Shen is in the sports room looking at the rag that was thrown at him, and he is thinking about how Yuan was playing with Song Si the previous day. He is interrupted by Ling Wei, who enters the sports room to talk to him. Yuan thinks that it's Song Si inside, so she locks the door to get revenge on him. But when she reaches the main ground, she sees Song Si there and realizes that she locked someone else inside by accident. She runs back to the sports room, unlocks the door, apologizes, and then proceeds to leave, but Qin Shen stops her by placing his hand on her shoulder. He says that he wants to talk to Yuan. Song Si sees this and doesn't like it and feels jealous, so he grabs Yuan's hand and takes her away. Qin Shen feels very jealous. When Ling Wei is leaving, she purposely drops her bag in the sports room, hoping that Qin Shen will return it to her. Later on, Yuan comes to clean the room and finds Qin Shen already there waiting for her, but he lies and says that he's there to get a basketball. Yuan can't find her cleaning rag since Qin Shen kept it on the highest shelf. She proceeds to use Song Si's rag, but this makes Qin Shen very jealous, so he tells her where her rag is. Yuan climbs the shelf to grab the rag, but she slips. Fortunately, Qin Shen grabs her and doesn't let her fall. Yuan spots Ling Wei's bag which she left, so she picks it up and hands it to Qin Shen and tells him to return it to Ling Wei. But he refuses and tells Yuan to return it to Ling Wei herself. After this, Yuan and Qin Shen approach Song Si and confront him for cheating on her in the online game. He explains to them that it must have been his friend, Cheng Hao. So in reality, Cheng Hao plays the game on Song Si's account pretending to be him. During sculpting class, Ling Wei enters the class and asks Qin Shen for her bag, so he tells her that he doesn't have it. Right at this moment, Yuan approaches Ling Wei and returns her bag to her. Ling Wei and Yuan both introduce themselves to each other, and then Ling Wei leaves after saying goodbye to Qin Shen. During dinner time, Yuan follows Cheng Hao and records him taking exam answer sheets from another student. Qin Shen is sitting on the table behind her and watching all of this. When Cheng Hao is alone, she goes up to him, shows him the video, and threatens to send it to the principal if he doesn't apologize to Qin Shen. Cheng Hao tries to snatch her phone, but Qin Shen steps in and stops him. He defends her from Cheng Hao and then they both leave. He tells her not to mess with people bigger than herself, but she explains that Cheng is afraid of his father, so she will send everything he does to his father if he doesn't apologize to Qin Shen. This makes Qin Shen smile, and after seeing him smile, Yuan starts to blush. Yuan says bye to him and leaves. The next day, it's announced that on the college's 19th anniversary, everyone must contribute money for the celebration. Yuan is made in charge of collecting the money from everyone. Everyone from the class gave her money except Qin Shen. He asks her to come to the basketball court to collect the money in cash. When she goes to the court, Qin Shen's friends start to tease them by saying that they're a couple. The both of them clear it up to everyone that they're not dating, but Song Si jumps in and says that Qin Shen and Yuan aren't dating, but he will soon be dating Yuan. This makes Qin Shen very angry and jealous, but he hides his emotions. In the next class, Yuan is marking the attendance of her absent friend when the teacher catches her and gets very angry at her. She is afraid that this will ruin her reputation with the teacher, so she goes later to apologize to him when she sees the teacher telling Qin Shen to find a female model and make a body sculpture of the model. In an effort to impress the teacher, Yuan tells the teacher that she will bring in the model, and the teacher approves. Later on, she approaches Qin Shen and tells him to put some cream on his hands, but he refuses, so she rubs the cream on his hands herself and even gives him the tube of the cream. Right as Yuan is about to ask him for help with the model, Qin Shen enters the room, so Qin Shen leaves before Yuan can ask him for help. When he comes to his room, he is staring at the hand cream Yuan gave him. One of his friends asks him for hand cream, but he gives him his own hand cream and not Yuan's. He takes the hand cream Yuan gave him and locks it in his locker. The next day, Qin Shen gives Yuan a card of a model and tells her that they will both go to meet the model together, which makes her very happy. Suddenly, the teacher approaches him and asks Qin Shen to come with him after class, but Qin Shen tells him that he has to go and meet with the model with Yuan. In an attempt to impress the teacher, Yuan says that she can meet with the model alone so that Qin Shen can help the teacher. Both of them are left in shock. Qin Shen quickly helps the teacher and runs off to help Yuan with the model. Meanwhile, Yuan is waiting for the model with her friend, and her friend asks her why she's doing all of this, so she tells him that she's doing this to impress her reputation with the teacher. That's why she's doing this. She says that she even gave her expensive hand cream to Qin Shen, so he helps her with the model. Qin Shen overhears all of this standing behind her. Yuan gets a text from the model saying that she won't be coming. At this moment, Qin Shen comes in front of Yuan and stares at her with anger. Yuan realizes that he overheard everything, but before she could say something, he leaves without saying anything. When she's in class, her teacher asks her where is the model, but before she can reply, Qin Shen enters and tells the teacher that he has found a model and that she will be coming tomorrow. Yuan can't help but feel very sorry for Qin Shen, so she tries many times to talk to him, but he ignores her every time. She even tries to give him a sugarcane juice, but he says that he hates sugarcane, so she leaves. Yuan ends up working way too long on her sculpture. Now that's it, nighttime, and the security guard locked all the gates. Coincidentally, Qin Shen is also locked in because he fell asleep in the storeroom. Yuan climbs the gate to the department to unbolt it, but Qin Shen tells her it's of no use. But she doesn't listen, and unbolts the gate. She then runs towards the exit gate to leave the building, but that gate has a lock to it, so she's stuck inside. Yuan and Qin Shen talk for a while, but then Song Si comes outside the gate and chants Yuan's name, so she runs towards the door. After seeing that she's locked inside, he tries to break the door, but Ling Wei comes there with the security guard to open the door. It turns out that Qin Shen texted his friends that he's locked inside, so they sent Ling Wei to get it opened. Once the door is opened, Qin Shen also walks out and completely ignores Ling Wei and leaves. Song Si grabs Yuan and tells her that she isn't allowed to interact with any other guy. He asks her how she got locked inside, so she explains how she was working on her sculpture and didn't realize that the guard was locking the gates. The next day, everyone is painting their sculptures, and Yuan tries to help Qin Shen, but ends up accidentally getting paint on his nose. Instead of getting angry, he just starts to smile, which lets Yuan know that he's not angry at her anymore. He spots a sharp wire popping out of the table and sees Yuan about to walk into it, so he grabs the cable with his hand, leaving a deep cut into his hand, and pushes Yuan away from the wire and then quietly leaves. Later on in the hallway, Yuan asks for his help to carry some buckets, but he refuses because of his injured hand. After he sees Yuan struggling, he ends up helping her despite the immense pain. Yuan notices the very deep cut on his hand and immediately takes him with herself, and she bandages up his hand after putting medicine on it. Yuan asks Qin Shen for a dinner treat as his thanks. At first he refuses, but then he agrees to come. When it's nighttime, he keeps checking his phone waiting for Yuan's text message, but his friend trolls him and hides his phone and refuses to give it back, till Qin Shen helps him free his hand, which accidentally got stuck in the bed's rail. Meanwhile, Yuan gets ready, reaches the cafeteria, and calls Qin Shen, but he doesn't pick up because his friend had hidden the phone and muted it, demanding to be freed first. Yuan is waiting for him when suddenly Song Si approaches her and asks who she is waiting for. She tells him that she's just here to study in peace and nothing more. Song-si's friends call him to show him something, so he has to go. Yuan is still waiting there for a while. It's so late that everyone else has left the cafeteria. Song-si again comes and sees Yuan waiting, so he asks her to come with him. She says yes, since she's already waited for so long. Qin Shen finally frees his friend and takes back his phone and runs to the cafeteria. Song-si, who is walking with Yuan, sees him running towards the cafeteria, and he realizes that she was waiting to meet him, so he stands in front of her so that they both don't see each other. Qin Shen reaches the cafeteria only to find it locked, so he calls Yuan, but unfortunately, her phone was powered off since it died after running out of battery. Yuan is extremely sad over his no-show and comes back to her room. The next day, Yuan ignores Qin Shen in class when he tries to talk to her. He even waits for her at the bus stop, but after seeing him there, she leaves the bus stop. This behavior upsets Qin Shen, making him angry. During lunchtime, Qin Shen's friend asks Ling Wei to teach the sculpture department how to dance since they had to perform at an upcoming event. Ling Wei happily agrees to teach them how to dance. The next day, Ling Wei teaches the entire sculpture department how to dance, and everyone is there instead of Qin Shen. He is working on a sculpture of the principal's face. His teacher is impressed by this and compliments him by saying that his sculptures are better than even the senior students. After he leaves, Ling Wei tries to talk to him, but he ignores her. She even tries to give him a bottle of lemon juice, but he refuses to take the juice and leaves. Later in the dance hall, Qin Shen's friend tells everyone how his friend got his hand stuck in the bed and how he forced Qin Shen to free him. Yuan realizes that this was the reason Qin Shen didn't show up, so she feels bad for treating him so coldly in the past few days. So she brought lemon juice for everyone so she could talk to him with the excuse of giving him some juice. But since Qin Shen isn't there, his friend takes his bottle of juice and puts it in his bag. When Qin Shen finally comes to the dance hall and sees the bottle of juice in his bag, he thinks that Ling Wei has again given him this juice, so he picks it up and throws it in the trash can. Everyone looks at this and is left shocked, but as soon as his friend tells him that Yuan gave him this juice, he takes it out of the trash can immediately. This makes Yuan very happy, and she can't even control her smile. Ling Wei comes up to him and asks him if he likes Yuan since he rejected the juice she gave him, but he accepts Yuan's given juice. Suddenly, Yuan hit her head on the railing very loudly. This concerned Qin Shen, so he started to walk over to Yuan. Ling Wei grabs his arm and demands that he answer her first, but he refuses to answer and pulls his hand away from hers. This accidentally makes Ling Wei's own hand hit her face. Everyone in the room gets angry with Qin Shen and tells him to take Ling Wei to the nurse, so he is forced to take Ling Wei to the nurse, which makes Yuan feel very sad. Later on in the day, Yuan is in the library with her friend, discussing how to make their performance even better. Song-si overhears this and approaches Yuan. First, he flirts with her, but when Yuan ignores him, he says that he has an idea on how to improve their performance. He suggests mixing Greek mythology with sculpturism, but Yuan doesn't like this idea and continues to ignore him. Song-si tries to confess his feelings to her, but Qin Shen approaches and tells them to be quiet since they're in a library right now. Song-si puts his hand on Yuan's shoulder and apologizes on her behalf. Qin Shen doesn't like this, so he leaves and doesn't even stop when Yuan calls for him, so this makes Yuan feel very bad. She goes to the cafeteria to talk to Qin Shen and asks him if she can sit with him. He happily says yes. Qin Shen adds Yuan to the friends texting app so that they can now even text each other. Yuan asks him for ideas for the show, so he tells her that Song-si's idea isn't bad, and Yuan instantly agrees with him. Later on, everyone goes shopping for the performance, but Song-si also tags along by saying that he can help Yuan carry everything. When Song-si leaves to go get something to drink for Yuan, Qin Shen approaches her and sits next to her. While they're talking, stomach starts to rumble out of hunger, so Qin Shen gives her some chocolates to eat. After they all return from shopping, Yuan starts to cry because her father told her not to switch her department to oil painting. Qin Shen sees her crying, so he gives some tissues to Yuan's friend and tells her to go and comfort Yuan. After she's done comforting Yuan, she tells Yuan that it was Qin Shen who gave her tissues and sent her. So Yuan turns over and smiles at Qin Shen. The next day, everyone is getting ready for the performance while Yuan puts her department change form in her bag quickly and also gets ready. And then the play finally starts. Yuan slips on stage and is about to fall off, but Qin Shen grabs her, pulls her close, and plays it off as if it's part of the act for the audience. The entire audience starts to cheer at it. Yuan suddenly pushes herself back and accidentally rips Qin Shen's costume from his chest, but he pulls her in close again and tells her to maintain eye contact with him, and then the both of them play this off as if it's part of the play. And when the play ends, everyone from the audience cheers very loudly for them. Song-si and Ling Wei, who are watching all of this, feel so jealous that they both leave. After the show, everyone is talking backstage, joking about the costume incident, when again Yuan accidentally flips up his costume. He asks her what's her motive as a joke, but she feels way too awkward and leaves as fast as she can. When everyone returns to their house, Yuan realizes that her transfer form isn't in her house, so she suddenly connects the dots and realizes that she must have kept it in Qin Shen's bag since they both have the same bag. She is afraid that he will find the bag and tell everyone, making everyone from the sculpture think that she's betraying them and is an imposter. Yuan tried 1 billion times to get her form from his bag, but she remains unsuccessful each time. When Qin Shen gets to his room, he finds Yuan's form, and as soon as he hears his friends coming, he immediately hides it in his bag. One of his friends, Qin, texts Qin Shen and says that he thinks they both like each other but can't confess their feelings. Qin asks Qin Shen to help Yuan understand and confess her feelings, and Qin Shen agrees. The next day, these four visit an escape room, where Qin Shen only agrees to participate when he learns Yuan will be there. They split into 2 teams, Qin Shen and Qin versus Yuan and Qin Shen. Yuan searches Qin Shen's bag for the form, but he surprises her by handing it to her, revealing he knows her desire to join the oil painting department. He promises not to tell anyone, making her happy. The group quickly solves the escape room puzzles, but for the final key, Yuan must wear a smartwatch to increase her heartbeat. When running doesn't work, Qin Shen pulls her close, which successfully raises her heartbeat, allowing them to win. The next day, Yuan approaches Songxi for an interview since he is about to participate in the national race. A senior reporter tries to take the interview, but Songxi insists Yuan should do it, which pleases her. However, after the interview, he receives a worrying call and leaves abruptly. The next morning, Yuan discovers her article is missing from the newspaper because Songxi withdrew from the race, which deeply concerns her. Yuan searches for Songxi at the boys' hostel and overhears him talking to his friend Li Hong, who is frustrated that Songxi won't explain his withdrawal. When Yuan confronts Songxi, he avoids the question and claims he withdrew to impress her. She challenges his lie by recalling his happiness during the interview, leading her to tear up the interview papers in frustration before leaving. The next day in class, Qin Shen looks at Yuan's sculpture and says that it looks a lot like Songxi's face, so she asks if Yuan is missing him. Qin Shen overhears this and is frozen. Qin Shen tries to ruin the sculpture, but Yuan stops her, so Qin Shen leaves. Qin Shen doesn't like this, so he hits the sculpture with a mallet and tells her that she wasn't making it correctly, so she should start over again, and then leaves. Yuan then also leaves and goes to the teacher after the class is over and convinces the teacher to sign her department change form. The next day, Songxi is fighting with Cheng Hao because he calls Songxi's mother a poor worker. Songxi makes everyone think that his family is very rich, so this really upset him, so he started hitting Cheng Hao. Qin Shen intervenes and stops Songxi, saying that this is what Cheng Hao wants. Songxi warns Cheng Hao and then storms off in anger. Now everyone in the college is gossiping about Songxi being poor. These gossips eventually reach Yuan as well, so she begins to worry for Songxi. Yuan then sees Songxi going somewhere, so she decides to follow him. He ends up going to a hospital, so she follows him inside, but loses him, so she steps outside. She recognizes one of the patients outside as her old neighbor, so she walks up to her and starts talking to her. Songxi then approaches the old woman and Yuan and reveals that this is his mother, so now Yuan realizes that Songxi was her childhood best friend. When it's time for her checkup, Songxi and Yuan are waiting outside the ward. Yuan tells Songxi that she now knows the reason for his withdrawal was that he needed money for his mother's treatment, so he saved the money from the race's fees. Yuan says that as a friend, she can help Songxi out financially. Songxi tries to hug her, but she backs off. Songxi says that as a friend, she should hug him for comfort, so she gives him a hug. Qin Shen, who is with his injured friend to visit a doctor, sees them hugging. Yuan is shocked, so she backs up from Songxi, and Qin Shen storms off in anger after staring at Yuan. He feels very sad, and when he reaches his college, he sees Yuan entering the college with Songxi. He feels even sadder and jealous. When it's lunchtime, he stands next to Yuan, so Yuan gives him a seat at her table. He straight up asks her what she was doing at the hospital with Songxi, so she tells him everything about how he was her childhood friend, and his mother was her old neighbor. Later on, when Qin Shen goes to his room, he overhears his friend Yi Ming telling Qin tips on how to know if a girl is interested in him. The first hint is if the girl starts a conversation with him first. Secondly, if the girl tells you personal information about herself. And thirdly, if she instantly agrees to meet with you or go outside with you. Later on, when he goes to the library, he sees Yuan there, and he decides to test out Yi Ming's tips, which he overheard. When he sits at Yuan's table, she asks him if he knows how to find a part-time job. This confirms the first hint of making him happy. She then tells him that she needs money, so she's looking for a part-time job. This confirms the second hint, so he is even happier. He then asks her if she will go to an art show with him. She refuses, saying that she needs to look for a job, and once she's done with this, she needs to fix her attendance count. This takes away all his built-up happiness, so he leaves, making Yuan wonder why he suddenly left. The next day, Yuan spots Cheng Hao bullying Ling Wei, so she records the entire thing and threatens him by saying that she will show everything to his father and the principal if he ever messes with Ling Wei again. She then leaves with Ling Wei. Ling Wei thanks her and asks her to have lunch together, but Yuan tells her that she needs to look for jobs. Ling Wei offers to help, saying that she can get her a job, but Yuan says that she doesn't have time since she needs to get to an interview. Ling Wei says that if the interview doesn't go well, she will happily help Yuan get a job. Later in the day, Yuan is distributing some flyers when Cheng Hao comes and throws all the papers on the floor. Yuan has no other option but to pick them up herself, when suddenly Qin Shen comes and grabs her hand. He threatens Cheng Hao and tells him never to mess with his girlfriend again, and then leaves with Yuan. Yuan is thanking him, but he cuts her off, and says that he doesn't like seeing people get bullied, that's why he helped her. Later on, when he goes to the cafeteria, he sees Songxi and Yuan eating together, so he gets angry and leaves without even having his lunch. When Songxi is in his dorm, Cheng Hao tells him what Qin Shen said, and explains how that means he's Yuan's boyfriend. Songxi gets angry and begins to argue with Cheng Hao, warning him never to take Yuan's name ever again, and then storms off in anger. He goes straight to Yuan's sculpture class, and when he sees Qin Shen there, his mood is ruined. He calls Yuan outside of the class to talk to her. He directly asks her straight up whether or not Qin Shen is her boyfriend. Qin Shen, who is standing right next to the door and listening, overhears this, and gets happy thinking that Yuan will say yes and call him her boyfriend. Yuan refuses and asks who gave him this idea. Songxi just gets very happy and smiles and then leaves after saying bye. When Yuan turns around, she sees Qin Shen standing right behind her. He just gives her a stare and then leaves as well. Yuan is left wondering what just happened. Later that day, Qin Shen finds a job for Yuan as an art teacher in a kid's school and leaves the advertisement poster on her door. He also enrolls as an art teacher himself in the same school. Meanwhile, Songxi's friend Li Hang invites him over for dinner and tells him that he found a sports company that is willing to sponsor him, and tells Songxi that they are also coming to the dinner to meet. Mr. Zhang and a coach arrive and talk to Songxi. They agree to sponsor him on 3 conditions. Firstly, he will only wear sporting clothing from their brand. Secondly, he will only use supplements from their brand. And third, he won't marry or date anyone for 10 years. Songxi approved of the first 2 conditions, but asked them to change the last condition, but they refused to change it, and asked Songxi to think about the offer and then leave. Yuan starts her new teaching job and is surprised to find Qin Shen there. During lunch, her friend Ling Wei becomes jealous upon seeing them together, and decides to also become a dance teacher at the same school. After a welcome dinner for the new teachers, Ling Wei pretends to hurt her leg to get Qin Shen to carry her home, leading to an argument between him and Yuan when she questions his intentions. The next day, Ling Wei meets an old friend Si Cheng, who encourages her to pursue Qin Shen, despite his own feelings for her. Meanwhile, Yuan struggles with a troublesome student, Uchi, but Qin Shen intervenes by threatening to call Uchi's parents. After a series of pranks, including Uchi putting a rat in Yuan's clothes, Qin Shen defends her and punishes Uchi. When it is time to leave the school, it rains, so Qin Shen offers Yuan his umbrella, and they share a moment walking together. Meanwhile, Songxi becomes frustrated when Yuan declines his call and tears up his contract after seeing her with Qin Shen, feeling angry and hurt. When Qin Shen reaches his room, Ye Ming asks for his umbrella. Qin Shen says that he lost it. Ye Ming then walks up to Qin Shen to hit him playfully, but he slips and falls on the floor and ends up hurting his back. The next day, everyone is in the ground when Yuan accidentally bumps into Ye Ming, and he starts complaining about back pain. She asks him what's wrong, and he says that it's because of her man, so she looks at Qin Shen. All of Qin Shen's friends start to tease and suspect them since Li Ming never even took Qin Shen's name. Yuan feels embarrassed, so she runs to Songxi and starts to talk to him. While joking, Songxi touches her hand, which Qin Shen doesn't like, and he gets really angry and jealous. Ling Wei also walks up to Yuan and Songxi and starts to talk to them. Songxi asks Yuan if she came back to college yesterday with Qin Shen, but Yuan lies and says that she came back alone. Ling Wei and Songxi both feel very happy and relieved. Qin Shen then walks up to Yuan and tells her to return the umbrella which he left with her yesterday since it's his friend, and he needs it back, and then leaves after saying this. Songxi begins to stare at Yuan out of anger, so Yuan once again feels embarrassed and she leaves. Yuan gets to the cafeteria later and returns the umbrella. While Yuan and Qin Shen are having lunch, they get a text from the director in which he asks them to give extra classes to Uchi since he is really good at painting and can win the upcoming painting competition. Yuan then peacefully talks to Uchi and tells him to pay attention in class. While she's talking to Uchi, she gets a call from the director, so she picks it up, and when she turns around, Uchi is gone, and he's nowhere to be found. When the director finds out, he gets extremely angry at Yuan, but Qin Shen intervenes and says that he will help Yuan look for Uchi. He tracks Uchi's location through his smartwatch, which he had linked to his phone a few days ago, so they use the location and find him. The next day, Yuan is extremely happy in her sculpture class and can't stop smiling. Her friends question this smile of hers, so she explains to her friends that it's nothing serious since she found the kid. Ye Ming then walks into the class and tells Yuan that Uchi's parents complained to the counselor about Yuan since they blamed her for Uchi running away and getting lost. Yuan runs to the counselor, and the counselor tells her that Uchi's mother is furious and wants to file an official report against Yuan at the police station, since she believes Uchi got lost because of Yuan's negligence. However, the counselor reassures Yuan by saying that she's trying her best to stop the mother. Yuan gets sad and starts to cry, but when Qin Shen sees her, he takes her outside to play darts and he cheers her up. He also starts to smile after seeing her happy. When they reach the school to teach, Uchi apologizes to Yuan and even makes her a painting as an apology. On top of this, the director tells Yuan and Qin Shen that all the students in their classes were the best at the art competition. They are both asked to take pictures for the school website as well. They both go out to have dinner together to celebrate when Qin Shen gets a call from the director inviting them both to a staff party. Qin Shen makes up an excuse and cuts the phone call. When the director tells Ling Wei, she calls Yuan to ask her to come, but when Qin Shen sees her getting Ling Wei's call, he grabs her phone and declines the call. The both of them then spend a very good time together and enjoy every moment. The next day, Ling Wei approaches Yuan and asks her why she didn't come to the party. Yuan says that she was busy, but Ling Wei says that she would prefer if Yuan told her prior to the party, and she said that all the other staff made her get way too drunk. Before Yuan could rely, Qin Shen sprung to her defense and said, "How is it Yuan's fault?" Ling Wei says that she wasn't trying to blame Yuan, but he asks her what she meant then. Ling Wei gets upset and leaves. Yuan asks him why he always defends her, but he tells her to guess the reason herself. Song Si then meets Yuan and refuses to accept the money Yuan was giving her after earning it from her new job as a teacher. She tries to give him the money, but he doesn't accept it at all. After a lot of failed attempts, Yuan finally accepts his decision and leaves with the money. Song Si gets a call from his mother asking whether or not he has sold his grandfather's watch. Song Si tells his mother that she shouldn't worry about money, since he will soon win a lot of money, but his mother can't help but worry about their financial situation. Meanwhile, Ling Wei is discussing with Si Cheng how to invite Qin Shen to her birthday party, so he suggests inviting Yuan, saying that Qin Shen will definitely come if Yuan is there. Later, she approaches Yuan and invites her. After Yuan agrees to come, she approaches and invites Qin Shen, but he refuses. When Ling Wei tells him that Yuan is also coming, he immediately accepts the invitation. When Yuan reaches the party, she doesn't see Qin Shen, who is already there. Si Cheng invites Yuan to come and drink with him, but Qin Shen stops her and makes her sit down with himself and gets really happy. Si Cheng notices all of this. When Si Cheng gets a chance to talk to Yuan, he tries to brainwash her and lies to her by saying that Qin Shen and Ling Wei have always liked each other since high school. Later on, when everyone is playing truth, and Dare Ling Wei asks Yuan who she likes. At first, she tries to avoid the question, but when she is forced to answer, so stays silent. Qin Shen notices this and doesn't like it, so he slams his bottle on the table and leaves. When Yuan also leaves, she sees Ling Wei and Qin Shen talking in the hallways. Ling Wei says that she knows he is only here because of Yuan because he has never come to any of her parties before. Qin Shen says that if she already knows everything, then why is she still trying to get with him and annoy him? Qin Shen spots Yuan listening, and as soon as he looks at her, she runs away. Qin Shen and Ling Wei continue arguing when he tells her to stop playing games with Yuan and he storms off. She is really hurt by this, so she gets drunk. She hugs Yuan and asks her for advice on how to get with Qin Shen and confesses that she's liked him since high school, and then she passes out. Yuan is worried for Ling Wei, so she leaves and asks Qin Shen if he likes Ling Wei, so he says that he has never liked her ever. When Yuan reaches her phone, she gets a text from Qin Shen asking if she's still awake. She instantly replies saying yes. Song Si calls her asking to talk, but she says that she is way too sleepy. He calls her again and again, but she just powers off her phone. The next morning, she finds out from her friend that Song Si won the national race competition by achieving first place, and during his interview on TV, he says that he won only because of a very special person called Yuan. Qin Shen doesn't like this at all and gets angry and jealous as soon as he finds out. So his friend Qi urges him to confess his feelings to Song Si as soon as possible, before Song Si tries anything further. The next day, while talking in class, Qin Shen finds out that Yuan was working part-time just to collect money so she could help out Song Si financially, so he gets upset and leaves. After class, Song Si calls Yuan asking to meet, but she says that she's busy. She then calls Qin Shen and asks to meet him, so he calls her over to the basketball court. Song-si is also there, so he gets upset seeing her go to meet him. She and Qin Shen are talking, and just as she is about to confess her feelings for himself, a ball comes flying towards them. But thanks to Qin Shen's fast reflexes, he catches it. Song-si's friend Li Hang tells him to go and talk to Yuan, but he refuses, and says that he doesn't want to talk to her anymore. Yuan indirectly tries asking Qin Shen if he likes her, but he doesn't give a straight response to any of her questions, so she feels embarrassed and just simply walks away. Later that day, Yuan finds out that she needs to take Song-si's interview, so she tries to call Song-si, but he doesn't pick up, so she goes to meet him directly. He says that he will only take the interview if she becomes his personal assistant for a week. At first she refuses, but after a lot of persuasion and desperation for the interview, she is forced to agree. Song-si makes Yuan work for himself all day long and daily. At the end of each day, he claims to be very tired and makes her massage him. She massages him very hard to hurt him, but he ignores all of this and controls it just for her. Meanwhile, Qin Shen is practicing basketball when he overhears Song-si's friends talk about how he's always busy with Yuan. Qin Shen doesn't like this at all, so he leaves in anger. The next day, Yuan and Song-si are in the cafeteria celebrating his win in the nationals when Qin Shen enters and doesn't like seeing them together. He stands in front of Yuan, and she explains to him how it's just a due celebration lunch. He says that he doesn't want any justifications from her and then leaves, making her sad. Song-si notices everything and asks Yuan if she likes Qin Shen, but she refuses. Later that day, she goes and sits with Qin Shen. He asks her how come she's here since she's been so busy with someone else these days. She says that she has just been busy for a very odd reason, and she tells him that she'll be completely free after the next day. Li Hong announced that one student from each department needs to be selected through votes to become the department ambassador for the promotional video. Yuan and Qin Shen tie in the votes, so she withdraws and lets Qin Shen have his glory moment. After class, Song-si tells Wen that as his assistant she needs to be there for the promotional video. She refuses, but he doesn't budge, so she is forced to agree. In the makeup, Ling Wei is doing Qin Shen's makeup, and Yuan sees this and she doesn't like it at all. Ling Wei sees her and forces her to help her with the makeup for everyone, since she is doing everyone's makeup alone. Yuan is forced to agree after a lot of persuasion. Then Song-si comes and forces Yuan to do his makeup. The entire time, Qin Shen stares at Yuan and Song-si. Meanwhile, Yuan is busy staring at Song-si. Eventually, once the makeup is done, they all leave and shoot the promotional video. The next day, all the students go camping. Yuan is on the bus when she sees that Song-si posted a picture with her on his social media. When Song-si gets on the bus, he sits next to Yuan. Qin Shen notices this and gets angry. Yuan tells him not to post her on his social media, making an excuse saying that his female fans won't like it, but he says that he'll defend her from them and tells her not to worry. Qin Shen overhears this, and this just fuels his anger even more. When everyone reaches the camping spot, the teacher asks everyone to team up in pairs for activities, so Qin Shen puts himself and Yuan in the same team. Their first activity is to set up tents, and Yuan trips on the cable holding up her tent. But luckily, Qin Shen is quick to react, and he catches her and saves her. Song-si and Ling Wei notice this and both feel extremely jealous. When it's time for dinner, Song-si purposefully makes food for Yuan and serves it to her. He even plays with her while she eats, which Qin Shen doesn't like. So to make Yuan jealous, he eats the food that Ling Wei had served to him and pretends to eat it happily. Yuan storms off from the table as soon as she notices this, and Qin Shen starts to smile. The next day, for their next activity, they needed to find flags in the forest, and the team with the most flags would win. Everyone was given a compass and a map. While in the forest, Yuan and Qin Shen come across a huge ditch in their path, so he tells Yuan to wait there for him. Yuan says that she will go with him instead of waiting. Qin Shen easily jumps over the ditch, but when Yuan tries to jump over the ditch, she slips in the mud and ends up falling in it. Qin Shen doesn't know that she has fallen in a ditch, so he looks behind to see her, but gets confused since he can't see her at all. When Qin Shen realizes that Yuan fell in the ditch, he's trying to help her get out, but he ends up accidentally ripping her shirt, so he quickly covers her up by giving her his jacket, and then he finally pulls her out of the ditch. To retrieve the next flag, they need to solve some mathematical problems, and since Qin Shen is extremely smart and sharp, he solves them in no time very easily, leaving Yuan impressed. While walking towards the next flag, Yuan sprains her ankle, so she tells Qin Shen to leave her and get all the flags, but he refuses to leave her, and instead carries her on his back. When the activity is finally over, it turns out Song-si and Ling Wei won this activity by capturing the most flags. Qin Shen ignores Ling Wei, who tries to talk to him, and he goes straight to Yuan and comforts her since her leg is injured. The next day, Yuan goes to Songsi and shows him the published interview. Just as she's leaving, Songsi mentions how he hurt his leg and no one cares, so Yuan stops and takes a look at his leg. She applies medicine to his leg and bandages it. After she bandages it, he stands up and starts to play around with her, and he grabs her hair. Yuan tells him not to do it, but he still holds it. Someone ends up taking a picture of them from a distance, and this person uploads it on Songsi's fan account, making it look like Yuan is his girlfriend, which instantly went viral throughout the entire college. As soon as Qin Shen finds out, he asks Yuan out to dinner, and she happily agrees. The both of them dress up really well and go to the restaurant. Qin Shen starts off the night by raining compliments on Yuan, which she really likes. Yuan excuses herself to go to the washroom when Qin Shen overhears the girls sitting next to their table. They're talking about Yuan and saying bad things about her, saying that she's going out on dates while dating Songsai. Qin Shen doesn't like this. So as soon as Yuan comes back, he grabs her, and they leave. Yuan gets very happy thinking he's going to confess his love, but when they exit the restaurant, he just leaves. When Yuan gets back to her room, she finds out from her friends about an article that was posted on Songsi's fan account, which said extremely rude things about Yuan. It said that she goes around dating other guys while she is Songsai's girlfriend. Meanwhile, Qin Shen's friends also tell him the same thing. He remains silent, but inside he is infuriated. The next day, Songsai's coach tells him that the company has handled this matter for now, and they tell Songsi to only focus on his training from now on, but he refuses and says that he won't rest until the culprit who posted this is caught. Meanwhile, Qin Shen approaches Yuan and tells her not to worry, and says that he will help her, but she refuses help and says that she will take care of it herself. Yuan then gets a call from Songsi apologizing for everything. Later on, Songsi approaches her to freshen up her mood and they leave together. Qin Shen looks at this and assumes that she's taking help from him, which angers him because she refused to take his help. But Qin Shen doesn't stop and continues to go through all the records to find the culprit. He finds out that the owner of that fan account is Chong Yang, one of Yuan's own friends. He goes to confront her, but he sees Songsai already talking to her. Songsai tells her to confess publicly, but she says that it's a group account that many people have, and she says that it was someone else who posted it and not her. Songsi doesn't believe her and says that he will expose her if she doesn't confess, and then he leaves. Qin Shen then approaches her and says the same thing, but he believes her when she says that another admin posted it and then changed the password so she no longer has access to the account. When it's time for lunch, Yuan asks Qin Shen if he's still helping her find the culprit, and when he says yes, she gets very happy. Later that night, Qin Shen compares the profile picture of the account to an old picture from Ling Wei's account, so he goes to confront her. He tells her to confess publicly or either get exposed publicly. Yuan is watching this from a distance. He walks away, but Ling Wei hugs him from the back. Yuan doesn't like this, so she runs away crying. Ling Wei starts crying and says that she didn't do it, but he pushes her away and continues walking. She hugs him again and says the same thing, so he gives her two options. Either find the culprit and expose them, or confess that it was you. He then leaves. Songsai sees Yuan crying, so he hugs her to comfort her. Qin Shen sees this and he gets angry and doesn't like this at all. Yuan pushes herself away from Songsai and runs towards her dorm, but Qin Shen, who is standing in the way, stops her. She doesn't stop, so he holds her and pulls her close to himself. He asks her what is her relationship with Songsi and why she was hugging him, but instead of answering, Yuan asks him the same thing regarding Ling Wei. He stays silent, so Yuan tries to leave, but Qin Shen grabs her again and pulls her to himself and he kisses her. She gets so happy that she can't stop smiling and blushing, and then they both walk together to the dorms. Songsi runs up to Yuan and asks if she's okay, and then he tries to grab her hand, but Qin Shen flicks his hand away. The both of them are about to start fighting over who will drop her to her room when Yuan stops the fight and suggests that the both of them drop her. When they drop her to her dorm, Songsi taunts Qin Shen by saying that he doesn't even know when her birthday is, and it's about to come, but he ignores Songsi and goes to his room. When she gets up to her room, she can't help but smile and think about her kiss with Qin Shen. Meanwhile, Qin Shen goes through the student registration book to find Yuan's birthday, and then he finds out that her birthday is about to come. Songsi then somehow finds out that Chong Yang likes him, so he meets up with her and clears up her misunderstanding by saying that he only likes Yuan and no one else. Chong Yang starts to cry, so she runs to her dorm room and breaks down. Yuan sees her running away, so she asks Songsi what happened, and once she finds out, she runs to the dorm to find and console Chong Yang. She tells Chong Yang that she has no feelings for Songsi whatsoever. Yuan then talks to her friends and plans her birthday. She suddenly gets a flashback when someone mentions the post on Song Si's fan account. She remembers that when she was stalking the account, a classmate told her that this account belonged to Ling Wei's friend, Ya Qin. Yuan instantly goes to find Ya Qin, but she finds Ling Wei in the room. Yuan asks her if she knows that Ya Qin posted these things, but she remains silent, so Yuan realizes that Ling Wei is defending her friend, and then Yuan snaps out of her flashback. Meanwhile, Ling Wei tells Ya Qin that she saw Yuan with Chang Yang and crying, so Ya Qin said that the group account belonged to Chang Yang, which they ran together. Ling Wei advises her to go and apologize to Yuan before Yuan exposes her in front of the entire college, and Ya Qin agrees. She then meets Yuan and apologizes. Yuan accepts her apology and forgives her. Later on, Yuan is on a call with a teacher when she finds out that Ling Wei's father is the owner of the school she taught at. That means Ling Wei helped her get the job. As a thank Yuan decides to get a gift for Ling Wei, and she goes to the mall and gets a gift for Ling Wei. While she's at the mall, Song Si calls her and decides to meet her there. He tells her that he has to travel out of town on her birthday, so he's buying her the birthday gift right now. After browsing at a lot of options, she picks a cheap hairband just so that Song Si doesn't get burdened by an expensive gift. When they get back to college, he forces her to wear the hairband and he starts to take pictures of her. Suddenly, Qin Shen comes there, and he takes off Song Si's gifted hairband and then he hands her a bottle of juice and leaves. As soon as he leaves, Song Si grabs the bottle of juice from Yuan and he starts to drink it himself. The next day, Yuan collects her department change exam hall ticket, and then she goes to give the gift to Ling Wei. When she goes to her room, she notices that Ling Wei has depression medicine on her table, so she asks Ling Wei if she's okay, but Ling Wei lies and says that she's okay. But in reality, Yuan knows that she's in depression because of her feelings for Qin Shen. She gives her the present and then leaves, but she accidentally drops her exam hall ticket in her room. Ling Wei goes to Yuan's room, but she isn't there yet, so she hands the exam hall ticket to her friends and leaves. The friends read it and are furious when they find out that Yuan is changing departments. When Yuan arrives, they start to bombard her for an explanation, but when she gives them an explanation and tells the truth, they all leave the room in anger. Yuan tells this entire incident to Qin Shen, and he suggests she try and explain it to her friends again, so this is what she does, but her friends remain silent, giving no response. The next day, it's Yuan's birthday. But none of her friends have wished her, so she is extremely sad. But when she goes to her room, all of her friends surprise her, which makes her extremely happy, and all of them are on good terms again now. Later on in the day, Qin Shen also wishes her, and he gives her a rose and asks her to become his girlfriend. Yuan very happily agrees and they start dating. While they're texting at night, Yuan suddenly remembers Ling Wei's depression pills, so she tells Qin Shen that they'll keep their relationship a secret for now, and tell everyone when the time is right. At first, he refuses to keep it a secret, but eventually, he accepts Yuan's decision. They go out on dates secretly for the next few days, but one day Ling Wei's friend sees them both together, so she goes and tells Ling Wei. Ling Wei decides to talk to Yuan, so she goes to the library to talk to Yuan. But when she sees Qin Shen sitting there with her, she is shocked. Ling Wei walks up to Yuan and asks her if she and Qin Shen are dating. Yuan lies and says that she isn't dating him, and then after chatting for a few minutes, Ling Wei leaves. Yuan explains to Qin Shen that Ling Wei is depressed because she's unable to get with you, so Yuan doesn't want to hurt her anymore, and that's why she wants to keep this relationship a secret. The very next day, one of Ling Wei's friends is talking to Yuan when Yuan finds out that Ling Wei had depression long ago and it had been cured for more than a year. Yuan realizes that Ling Wei had deliberately shown her the medicine, making her believe that she was sick, even though nothing was wrong. And because of this, she also pressured Qin Shen unnecessarily to hide their relationship just because of Ling Wei's lies. Yuan apologizes to Qin Shen, admitting that she shouldn't have forced them to hide their relationship because of others. Hearing this, Qin Shen becomes quite happy. Later that same day, Yuan and Qin Shen are walking together when Ling Wei meets them and notices a necklace. She asks Yuan if Qin Shen gave it to her, but instead Yuan asks why she wants to know. Yuan then tells Ling Wei that they have been dating since her birthday. Yuan explains that she kept it a secret because of Ling Wei's depression medication, feeling guilty all along. However, now Yuan realizes that Ling Wei had intentionally shown her the medication to make her think she was ill, when in fact, nothing was wrong. Ling Wei admits that she really liked Qin Shen and didn't want him to be with anyone else. Yuan then asks Ling Wei if she befriended her only because of Qin Shen, to which she confirms. Ling Wei can't understand why Qin Shen likes Yuan and not her. Yuan explains that Qin Shen only has feelings for her. The very next day, Yuan shares the news with all her friends about her and Qin Shen's relationship, shocking everyone. She even posts a picture of her holding Qin Shen's hand on her social media account so everyone can know about their relationship. Meanwhile, Ling Wei is very upset in her room. Her friend brings her some soup, but Ling Wei refuses to eat and says that she has no appetite. Yuan comes back to her dorm after a nice date with Qin Shen when one of her friends asks her if Song Si knows about her new relationship. She says that she hasn't told him, and she has blocked him on social media so he doesn't see her posts because she doesn't want to distract him from his upcoming race. She says that she will tell him herself after he wins the race. After finally completing his final competition, Yuan wants to tell Song So about her relationship, so she takes him to a restaurant to tell him. They see that Qin Shen is having lunch with his friends at the same restaurant. He was actually there to keep an eye on them. When Yuan tries to tell him something, Song Si grabs Yuan's hand. Startled, Yuan pulls her hand away. But Song Si reassures her that he knows what she wants to say. Since there are too many people around, he suggests they talk outside. Song Si confesses that he likes her very much, but Yuan responds that she has always considered him just a friend. Song Si acknowledges this and says that he is willing to wait for her, hoping that she might change her mind someday. Yuan suggests that he will find a better girl. This makes Song Si realize that she has chosen Qin Shen over himself, so he agrees and they shake hands. Song Si accompanies Yuan as she leaves, but the moment she goes inside her dorm, Song Si becomes sad again. His heart had been broken very badly, but despite that, he smiles and walks away. The next day, Yuan had her transfer exam, which she had missed earlier this year. When the results came out, Yuan passed with excellent marks and ranked first. Qin Shen even gifts her a set of oil painting brushes as a reward for achieving the first position. However, she is sad, so Qin Shen notices her sadness and asks why she is upset when she should be happy. Yuan explains that previously, due to her lower marks, she was assigned to sculpture, even though she preferred oil painting. Now that she's finally able to do oil painting, she feels reluctant to leave sculpture behind. Qin Shen suggests that if she's not sure, she should think carefully before giving an answer to her teacher. Yuan agrees with his advice. In a moment of confrontation, Ling Wei approaches Qin Shen and acknowledges that she is aware of his feelings towards her. She desperately asks for a single chance, expressing that her affection for him surpasses anyone else. However, Qin Shen calmly responds by stating that he doesn't feel the need to prove his love for Yuan to anyone, nor does Yuan have to demonstrate her love for him. Their happiness together is what truly matters to him. With that, he walks away. As Ling Wei watches him leave, she becomes increasingly frustrated, realizing that since Yuan entered her life, everything has been tarnished. She believes that Yuan's presence is what made Qin Shen dislike her ruining years of hard work. In a moment of rage, she accidentally pushes Yuan, who is attempting to console her, causing her to fall into the mud. A classmate witnesses the incident and spreads the news that Ling Wei was involved in a fight with Yuan. Upon hearing this, Qin Shen rushes to the scene where a crowd gathers outside. Upon arrival, he swiftly comes to Yuan's aid, lifting her up. Yuan tries to calm Qin Shen down by explaining that Ling Wei's actions were unintentional. Qin Shen then sternly tells Ling Wei never to show her face in front of him again before carrying Yuan away. Once they leave, Ling Wei can't help but burst into tears. Xichang tries to comfort her, explaining why Qin Shen is so concerned about Yuan. The following day, the supervisor from the oil painting department reached out to Yuan requesting her registration files. While Yuan and Qin Shen are outside the registration room, he notices a look on Yuan's face. Curious, he asks her why she's feeling down when her dream is about to become a reality. Yuan responds by sharing that she initially believed switching her major would bring her joy, but upon reflection, she realizes her true passion lies in sculpture. He encourages her to rethink her decision since she has always aspired to study oil painting. However, Yuan stands firm in her choice. Just moments later, the college administration announced that starting next semester, the oil painting department will be reformed and transformed into a sculpture design program. The unexpected news leaves everyone stunned, but the college justifies the change as a means to secure better job opportunities for students in the future. Qin Shen, feeling annoyed, tells everyone that if they want to give up on sculpture, they can do so, but he will find a way to handle it. When the teacher arrives, he informs the students that they have to accept the decision of the college, but this only adds to their worries. In a fit of anger, Qin Shen storms out, vowing to come up with a solution by himself. A few minutes later, he returns and encourages all the students to take part in the National City Sculpture Competition. He explains that winning at the level would bring significant recognition to the college and prevent any changes in the department. Everyone agrees with his idea, and even the teacher feels proud of Qin Shen. Teams are formed, and they start working on their sculptures. Yuan's group sculpture is themed around sports, so her friends suggest reaching out to Song Si for assistance as a model. Yuan is hesitant to ask Song Si for help, but her friends are insistent that he would be the perfect fit for the project. Reluctantly, Yuan agrees to their suggestion. She discusses the matter with Qin Shen, who initially disagrees, but eventually concedes with a few stipulations. He tells Yuan that she can't gaze at Songxi for more than 5 seconds, sit too close to him, or engage in excessive conversation with him. Yuan accepts these terms and reaches out to Songxi to see if he would be interested in meeting up. Songxi readily agrees to the invitation. The following day, Yuan and her friends gather at a restaurant to meet Songxi. When he offers Yuan a bottle of juice, she accepts it but refrains from making eye contact due to their established conditions. Throughout the encounter, she behaves awkwardly and goes out of her way to avoid Songxi's presence. Songxi picks up on her behavior, and even Yuan's friends feel uneasy about the whole situation. While Yuan is dining at the restaurant, she gets a call from Qin Shen inquiring about her whereabouts. Songxi overhears the conversation and recognizes who it is. Yuan informs Qin Shen that she is with Songxi and her friends, prompting him to request the restaurant's address. Yuan sends him the location, and when Qin Shen asks about the situation, she reveals that Qin Shen will be joining them. Upon hearing this news, Songxi becomes even more distressed, and her friends express concerns about his potential withdrawal from their project, fearing a confrontation between Songxi and Qin Shen. Shortly after, Qin Shen arrives at the restaurant with water and sits down next to Yuan, nudging her slightly to the side. Songxi shoots him an angry glare, observing his behavior. He proceeds to wash the utensils in front of Yuan, even cleaning the chopsticks for her, and holds her hand while handing them over. His actions annoy everyone at the table. Meanwhile, Songxi quietly continues her meal. After lunch, Yuan and Qin Shen are busy working on their sculpture while Songxi watches them. Her friends admire the artwork and compliment her on how closely it resembles Song's figure. In a tone, Qin Shen remarks that she has known Songxi since childhood, so it's no surprise she remembers his figure so well. She falls silent for a moment and attempts to steer the conversation in a different direction. While washing her hands outside, Songxi approaches her and says that ever since she started dating Qin Shen, she seems to have forgotten about him. He points out that she hardly even looks at him anymore, despite being childhood friends. She responds by saying it's not what it seems, and explains that she's just trying to avoid any misunderstandings with Qin Shen, who tends to get very jealous when he sees her with Songxi. He then asks her if she ever feels like choosing Qin Shen was a mistake. Just before Yuan can answer, she begins praising Qin Shen, who happens to be standing behind them and overhearing their conversation. When Songxi spins around, he shoots an angry glare at him, and Songxi retaliates by glaring back. Later on, Sicheng presents the sculpture created by their group to the teacher, only to receive criticism. The teacher remarks that it's not done correctly, and recommends that Sicheng seek assistance from Qin Shen, renowned for his sculpting abilities. Upon hearing this suggestion, he becomes upset and engages in an argument with the teacher, questioning why they consistently view Qin Shen as superior, despite believing his own work surpasses everyone else's. Just then, Ling Wei arrives and apologizes on Sicheng's behalf to the teacher, who then leaves. Sicheng, still angry, yells at Ling, asking why she's even here and whether she's come to talk about Qin Shen again. He tells her she has never understood how much he likes her. She tries to calm him down, but after venting, he storms off, furious, and breaks his group's sculpture, ruining their entire examination project. This sparks a fight with the other group members, who accuse Qin Shen of sabotage. Though Qin Shen denies it, they don't believe him until the teacher intervenes to calm everyone down. The teacher examines the sculptures, and upon seeing a broken one with a cross mark, realizes that Sicheng broke it himself. However, neither the teacher nor Qin Shen reveals this to the rest of the class. Later, Ling Wei gives Sicheng a letter, despite his anger, apologizing for never understanding his feelings and for not appreciating how he was always there for her in good and bad times. Reading this, his mood softens. Meanwhile, in class, Yuan's team and Qin Shen's team decide to fix their sculptures together. Initially, Sicheng's team refuses their help, accusing them of pretending to be good after they have broken the sculpture. But at that moment, Sicheng arrives and confesses the truth, apologizing for breaking his own sculpture out of anger and wrongly blaming it on Qin Shen because he felt jealous at the time. Hearing this, everyone is upset with him, but eventually forgives him, and they all work together to finish the sculpture. The results are then presented to the college director. The college director is impressed with all of them. On Saturday, Qin Shen takes Yuan on a vacation, but she feels awkward going alone with him, so she also invites Qinan and Qin Shen. When Qin Shen finds out, this ruins his mood, because he was hoping for a fun couple's getaway. Upon reaching the hotel, Everyone is having lunch when suddenly a call comes in on Qin Shen's phone from someone saved as the man of her dreams. She starts talking sweetly, which irritates Qinan, so he grabs her phone and says that he likes her and wants her to be his girlfriend. So it would be better if the person on the other end doesn't call again, as Qin Shen is only his. This shocked everyone, and they soon realized the call was from her father. She apologized, saying she didn't know Qinan liked her so much. Seeing Qin Shen and Qin happy together, the group decides to visit a place nearby called Lover's Bridge. However, Qin Shen lies to Qin Shen and Qi about it being a romantic spot, when in reality, it's a place for heartbroken individuals. At the spot, they find everyone crying, and upon returning, the couple accuses Qin Shen, claiming he purposely took them there as a prank. As punishment, Qin is made to carry everyone's bags. Later, they take pictures together, but Qin Shen is still upset. Qin Shen asks him why he never laughs, so Yuan teasingly kisses him on the hand, promising that next time they'll come on vacation alone, and tells him not to be angry anymore. She walks away with a smile, leaving him smiling as well. They then enjoy the rest of their time together. When they reach back and exit the train station, Song Sai approaches them and then Yuan congratulates him on winning his race. This makes him smile, so Qin Shen gets jealous and hugs Yuan from the side. Song Si reassures him by saying that he only dates single girls. He explains that he's only here to pick up his coach. Qin Shen laughs and smiles at him, clearing up all of their problems, so Song Si bids them farewell as he goes to collect his coach. 3 years later, it's graduation day for the entire sculpture department. Yuan is extremely happy, and they even display the trophy they won in a citywide sculpture competition. Qin Shen and Yuan are now famous lecturers due to their sculpture work, which has made their department widely recognized. And on this extremely happy note, the drama ends.